High school dropout to PhD. That's me. That's my journey. When I was in high school, first year of high school, I failed every subject as bad as you could do. So I got the lowest score of the 8 subjects possible, and I had nowhere to go. I was told by the school that I might need to look at, well, not might need to, I needed to look at different education for me because I wasn't achieving. I even had one teacher take me aside and say some pretty awful things to me. He said that I would never amount to anything in life, and he would give me really awful exercises to do, um, you know, push ups until I couldn't do any more, almost like torture, really. And one day he just called me a big pile of shit. So I was 13 at the time, I think, maybe 12, 13. So you can imagine the impact that had on me. Failing at school, having to leave school, somebody like a teacher calling me those sort of things. I didn't really feel too much positive things about myself or even my future. So I started to internalize a lot of that negativity, um, because when you're young, you don't know much better. I managed to pick my socks up, and I finished in Australia at year 10, which is about 15 years old. So it was a bit early than like finishing high school, which is usually year 12 or 17, 18. Because back then you could leave year 10 and get into a lot of things like do a trade or um, get work. There was more work around back then. Didn't allow me to get into university by any means, but I wasn't even in that mindset. Really, by the time I'd pulled myself out of school and gone from flunking everything to at least passing things, um, I just wanted to get in the workforce. And amazingly for me, my first job only lasted a week. So I used to travel into the city, and wow, what a baptism of fire that was. 7 a.m. starts, 6 p.m. finish, working like an absolute dog all day. I remember one of my tasks. So I worked for a printing company, so magazines, that type of thing. Company no longer exists, so I'm not that sad about that. But one of my jobs at morning and afternoon tea, would you believe, was to go up and down the building and take morning and afternoon tea orders for about 100 people. Whew. And then go across the road to a cafe, um, order it and bring it all back, all on my own. Whew. And try not to stuff up the orders, plus manage all the individual monies. So it was, yeah, it was pretty stressful. I had a run sheet of my duties, and it went for about 3 pages. 7 o'clock, do this. 7:05, do this. Bang, bang, bang. So after a week, I wasn't kind of that disappointed to get sacked. Although I was so naive, I remember being pulled into the office on the Friday, and they said, "Unfortunately, Mark, your job's been terminated." And I didn't even know what that meant. It didn't sound good. Maybe I picked up from the tone. Um, but the bonus was that I actually got two weeks' pay for 1 week, and I thought, oh, gee, I wonder if I could keep doing this the rest of my life. This would be pretty good. Um, so that was my start in the workforce. But it was jobs like that and others that I did since that um, convinced me of the importance of education. It didn't dawn on me when I was at high school. I wasn't ready for it. I should have been working on a farm or outside somewhere. The idea of sitting in a room listening to some annoying teacher that kept grandstanding wasn't really my thing. I needed to be moving when I was younger. So it was only after I'd been in an office job for several years, still doing kind of shit jobs and not really seeing much future. In fact, there was no promotional opportunities, low pay, nothing like that to sort of give you a bit of fire in the belly and kick up the backside. Um, to go, well, maybe I should give this education thing a go. So I went back to school and did, or finished my high school at night, at a night school. And there I met, motivated students, other, you know, adults, I guess, because I was maybe late teens by then, early 20s. So they were motivated like me to complete it. There was no mucking around or playing up in class. Because who wants to do that at anywhere between 6 and 9 p.m. at night? I mean, other places to do that. But most importantly, I met some amazing teachers that were really inspiring, and some gave me a love of learning certain areas. So I learned to love history, for example, from a particular history teacher who taught particularly ancient history. So I really learned a lot about the origins of civilization and um, the Egyptians and the Sumerians, and I became fascinated by all that sort of stuff. Um, and that teacher actually invited a lot of the class over to his home where he had a lot of artifacts, and he could show you the sculptures and various things that was quite amazing. And that opened up the opportunity then to go into university. I did my social work degree um, after losing my dad through cancer. Um, and then I entered the workforce as a social worker, but quickly sort of worked in other fields because traditional social work didn't really seem, for me. But I learned a lot about um, working as a professional and greater responsibilities, and I really enjoyed it, and I think I thrived. And then it was much later, um, after doing some postgraduate studies, that I decided to do a PhD of all things, and never thought I'd ever do that. And the only reason I did do it was I became fascinated by by a particular topic, and that was sustainability, corporate social responsibility, and I thought I could make some contribution to that. So I applied for a scholarship and left a full time job, actually two full time jobs at the time. I know that seems hard to do, but one I was on secondment from, and yeah, finished a PhD. Did that over 6 years. Um, I can be a bit of a procrastinator, so I'm amazed that I ever finished it. But um, if you know anything about PhDs, when you submit your final thesis, your final document, which is usually around 100,000 words, something about that thick, invariably the examiners, the people who mark it, read it. We're talking about a document 400 pages maybe. They they invariably come back and want some errors to be fixed or questions about this or that. And somebody like me who'd basically failed English, even in primary school, uh, to get to a point where my PhD was submitted, and my examiners, who were from Boston and from England, had no corrections to my PhD. They didn't require any changes. They were totally happy with the content. In fact, they were very encouraging of me to go on and do further research and further study. Um, so, recently when I volunteered to help out at a school, um, mentoring young students with their English, which I'm doing this afternoon for the first time actually. Um, to me, it felt like coming full circle. So when I was at primary school, um, I struggled with my English, and so much so that I would go to what they call remedial English classes. I had to go to a different school when I remember back. And, you know, we don't tend to use that word remedial anymore. Um, but I think you know what I mean if you've come across that term. It was often seen by other students as, a class for dummies. And you're kind of made to feel that way. Anyway, it just really struck me recently that I'd come from that background, struggling with English, flunking out in high school, um, having to pull myself up to the point where I could at least leave high school with some sort of completion, learning about the reality of life in the workforce, and that unless you apply yourself and um, work hard, the opportunity to shine as a true reflection of yourself and apply all your qualities, and not be seen as a number. It took me many years to the point where I got a PhD. So if I think back on those teachers who said I'd never amount to anything, I was a big pile of shit. Wow, how wrong were they? Um, thank God I didn't take that to heart. And then now to be able to go back and help little kids who, like me, are struggling with English. Some of them come from migrant background, refugee, and I think what a beautiful thing it is that people in the past helped me. Now it's my opportunity to give back and to help others. So I wanted to share that story with you. I hope it resonates for some of you, no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're at high school, um, unemployed, working, retired, whatever it is, that there are always opportunities out there if you believe in yourself. I know that the world is getting more and more difficult, more challenging, but just means you have to be a little bit smarter about where you apply your energies. Um, I, I said in an earlier video that the way applying for jobs now with AI and everything digital, you can waste so much time just applying for jobs endlessly back and forth, um, because you don't get any feedback. You don't get the feedback. Um, and I heard the other day there's a rise of fake jobs, even fake interviews. So I'm not saying it's easy, but my own experience is that if you believe in yourself, back yourself, try different things, um, and monitor where you're putting your effort, then good things will come your way. So I hope that they do. I really believe that all of you have got great talents and great skills, and there's no reason why they can't be applied. And it's not your fault if the opportunity doesn't land on your lap. It just means try something different. I feel very fortunate that I've been able to go that full cycle and not internalize this negative messages that I had over my life that I wasn't going to amount to anything. What the hell did they know? Nothing. So I believe in you. I reckon you can do it. Whatever you apply yourself to. Um, Love to hear your comments, questions, because I think a lot of us are on our own. We've got these questions to ponder, to face every day we wake up. Bills mounting up, changes in jobs, um, not clear always what education we should do or shouldn't do. Um, so I get it. It can be challenging, but the ones that succeed are the ones that keep going. So yeah, that's me from high school dropout to PhD and beyond. Have a good one.